So welcome, bonus city number 3. Well, the Grove, the last city that I recorded, took just 10 minutes. In the recording software, it looked like it took 13, but no, only 10 minutes. Rata Sum's gonna be a little bit longer. Rata Sum's a lot like the Grove in as much as everything's kind of condensed and very central. But as well as that, there are all these outlying lab areas across these various bodies of water and beyond these Asura gates, which we can actually be kind of sneaky with. So starting here at the entrance to Magical Province, if you grab the waypoint and immediately come over here to Incubation, you can kind of very logically and with a nice flow travel through the whole map. This Incubation waypoint, by the way, is where a place that I alluded to in a previous video on this playlist, where you could find some thunderstorm effects that appeared in the very first trailer, but now were more limited and rare in the game. So you can find them here. So yes, I think at launch this wasn't possible, but now that you can glide and stuff, the devs have opened it up more. They do actually let you jump like way away from the city. So look at that, the city's all the way over there. We Asura gated super far away, and now we're swimming this way. If you glide or griffin or whatever, you can move through this really far. I remember these places just looking so big. Especially there's a very cool dam area at Rata Sum that really there's no content over there, but we kind of were swimming down from away from that dam there. And yeah, we can get all of these various objectives over at this dock area. I'm actually a little bit confused in the footage at the moment. I know that you have to climb onto one of these ships for a vista, and I thought it was this one, but obviously it's not there on the minimap, I realized, so I've been a little bit premature. Of course, your other choice to get here is to just Asura gates. These gates are very cool, and they reveal something weird about the game engine. Because these Asura gates take you over a great distance, they hit you a loading screen, but you are still in the same map. There's no server shenanigans going on. So what that means is if you're a ranger and you stand right next to the Asura gate with your pet so that the pet kind of hits the gate, the pet will go through the Asura gate without you. And it will pop up on another side of the map without you. Realize it's not near you, run over to your location again, and then pop out next to you again. And then if you are in the right place, it will then immediately fall back into the gate. So you can teleport your pet at rapid speed all over the map. It's an interesting thing, like, to know how amazingly those Asura gates would work if you didn't have to deal with the reality of needing a loading screen. Obviously, the pets don't have to deal with loading screens, so they can go in and out really fast. I don't know whether ArenaNet servers don't like that happening, or whether they're totally fine with it, or what. I assume that if you manage to do that as a player, it would send up some kind of flag that you're, like, you know, hacking or something, because you'd just be moving way too fast. But yeah, it's a really fun little thing about Rata Sum that I've always enjoyed. I love the layout of this place. I love this area in Guild Wars 1. It's obviously a little bit different here. Where we are right now with that submarine, that was a post-release update. You can actually get in that submarine if you play the story for long enough. And it will take you to the Fire Island chain, which is actually south across from us, and very close, to be honest, even as it was in Guild Wars 1. The place is pretty much unrecognizable from the original here, you know, because there's a lot of water. The city itself has changed a massive amount. In the original, the Asura had only just come to the surface, and they were building floating cubes and stuff. They were playing around with magic and construction, but they were mostly just like inhabiting ruins that had been left about there from before they arrived. Ruins probably left by the Masat. The name of this city is actually an anagram. Rata Sum is an anagram for Masat. If you rearrange the letters, it's kind of a little hint about that. And in fact, in Magical Province, if you watch that episode, you start at a little town called Sorendra, which is another anagram. I think, is that a Latin word? Is that another Masat-related word? Can't remember. Anyway, leaving the dock, you then appear at another gate hub, and you can go to Zodja's lab and you know, the SNAF Memorial lab there. And then you can come here to your home instance as well, which you do actually need to travel into. Unlike with Fort Salma, where you got all this amazing stuff going on, and, you know, there's the hospital and the orphanage, we really just need to run a little bit forward to get this, the engaged demo station. I've always wondered about that. I don't know, because it's early game, and it's in a personal story area, sorry, a home instance area that's easy to access, and it's a demo. I wonder whether they had a weird idea that you could demo the game here or something. I don't know. Do you guys get what I mean? I'm sure it means nothing. There's a good amount of personal story steps there as well, including one that like opens up a little bit of an extra area in your home instance. You kind of get to break through a wall, or rather a golem breaks through a wall and it kind of chases you around, or you chase it around as you try to defeat it. So yeah, talking about the city itself, changed a lot. I already gave a little anecdote in the Metrica Province episode in this playlist. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you check it out. In that one, I mentioned how the original trailer had depicted an area of the world that never got implemented in the end. Well, the city itself looked very different in that trailer too. I mean, yes, it was once again like a giant floating cube turned on its side so that it's like we're on a bit of a pyramid. But the actual interiors were completely different. The general idea that you've got 3 points, one for each of the colleges, kind of was the same. But they like showed golem battles and they did like a fly through. It's a weird looking place in the trailer. And unlike with the like explorable area that looked so amazing and then never ended up getting implemented, I must admit, as nostalgic and weird I get, and as weird as I get about the super early development stuff, that Rata Sum that appeared in the trailer has got nothing on this one. This one is so much more detailed and has so much more going on. It is a beautifully well-crafted place. I think a lot of people don't respect or appreciate enough, like, the patterns that are at play here and how cleverly things are together. Like, if you think about it, we're dealing with 3s when we're here, you know, so there's 3 points. And the game itself has 9 professions and 9 crafting disciplines. So they get to do cool, or was it just 8 at launch? So they get to do cool stuff where it's like in the lower floors, you've got at each point 3 different crafting stations that all kind of line up correctly together. And it's just, it's also mathematical and symmetrical, and that's so perfect when it comes to the Asura. Just the geometry is amazing. In fact, of the 3 colleges, the College of Statics, which kind of deals with big building and architectural projects and stuff here, I feel like people don't talk about enough or don't care about enough because, you know, they're kind of in a way responsible for what we've got here. So above, we're on a giant floating cube. And one thing that I love about this map, by the way, is that we really are, you know, it's not a trick or a joke. It is a giant floating cube. And you can fall down into the water below and everything. But on top of the giant floating cube, that is the city, there's another giant floating cube. And that's where you just saw we were a second ago. That you only get to visit all too briefly. I always felt like the living world could have taken us back here a little bit more regularly. That place is a bit like the Groves on Thalos chamber as well, in that I've always kind of wanted to get up there without technically being in the instance by climbing around. And I feel like maybe that's possible. Look at the sky here as well. Maybe it's possible with the sky scale now. It's very high up though. It's very high. It wouldn't surprise me if it's not actually possible even with a sky scale. I just don't think I've really tried. I'm really happy that as I was recording this, we were at night, because I think the night sky around Rata Sum is one of the most beautiful night skies they'd ever done in the game before Path of Fire came out. You know, the expansions in general pushed the graphics of the game and, you know, its rendering capability and stuff so beautifully. But POF, it's such a treat, and especially like with the Amnoon Oasis, Skybox, and all that kind of stuff, you can't kind of top it. But for many years, this was really the place to be at the night time. I'm actually a little bit off the rails here as far as map comp is concerned. I wanted to stay on the upper floor earlier, but then I fell down and now it's all getting a little bit confusing. But you see, it's very easy to pick up various POIs here. You just run to the balconies plus the crafting stations. Now this place is pretty good. The Polymock Atrium, a disabled Asura gate. It's very similar to the story I gave you guys about Divinity's Reach with the archery shootout and the bar brawl. By the way, a little thing about that bar brawl. Potentially the bar brawl was going to be in Divinity's Reach, but also potentially the bar brawl was going to be in Lake Doric, which itself was an entire map that wasn't implemented. So I just wanted to add that little caveat. But Polymock is a weird one, because in Guild Wars 1 Eye of the North, so much of that expansion was just about introducing concepts that the full-fledged MMO in development was going to give us. I thought I could get this POI here, but I couldn't. So, Eye of the North is like, hey, look at this new race. You'll be able to play it in the MMO. Hey, look at this new race. You'll be able to play it in the MMO. Hey, look at this new enemy. You're going to be fighting this in the new MMO. It was all about the new MMO. And at the same time, they introduced this mini-game, Polymock, which was really cool. I so clearly remember the first article about Eye of the North that described Polymock. And I don't know whether this phrasing is actually distasteful somehow, but they described it as Pokemon on steroids. Really, that is how it had been described in this article. I don't know if that came straight from ArenaNet or the article itself. But anyway, and that's kind of true. You know, it was a Pokemon system in the Guild Wars 1 combat environment. And so, obviously, that's kind of... And by the way, that's the Super Adventure Box lab there. Added a little bit post-release. So, obviously, it was like, Polymock's going to come into the sequel, right? Just like the archery shootout and stuff like that. Maybe this will be a game that you can kind of directly duel other people around the world with. But they never implemented in the end. Never. So, there have been many propositions on the behalf of the community over the years. Was it going to be combined with mini pets for like a mini pet dueling arena or something? How could Polymock be done? But it's just not been added. There is still an Asura gate there, and there is a section of this map to the northeast, which is the one area that there's no, like, peripheral Asura lab. In the very northeast, there is, and you used to be able to break out and go and visit it, an unused Polymock arena. But the devs never added the feature, and to this day, a decade later, it's not in the game. And it's not even the kind of feature I'd expect to come with the next expansion, Ends of Dragons. Again, this is why I think we should have an Asura-oriented expansion set in the depths and stuff. They can give us Polymock right there. That'd be so good. Anyway, so there I died. It's funny, in all these videos, TechZoon has not been dying. It's been beautiful. It's like 100% world completion run, 0 deaths. And then in the few videos that I hear in the footage, I've managed to die in the Grove as well. Full damage both times. It's a little bit more forgivable for me here. That vista that I grabbed in the very depths of the city, which, by the way, doesn't that look amazing? That vista I grabbed is actually impossible, as far as I know, to get back away from. So, like, you kind of have to do a bit of a jumping puzzle to get to it. You can see it's just over there, but I've got to kind of move all the way around again to get to it. But going back the other way, I think you need, like, first of all, Mesmer Portal obviously is really good, but, like, any kind of leap skill, like, if I had Greatsword equipped, I could maybe use Greatsword 3 or a Lightning Hammer, and if you're very precise, you can get back up. I believe maybe there's a way of climbing. I think on a stream once upon a time, I did show this, and somebody responded with a video of, like, a really precise jump you can do. But it's just kind of crazy. It's a very rare example of the devs essentially forcing you to waypoint. That's the last POI here for this place. There's a little update to do with the cats here and at that vendor. Yeah, and it's not the only time that Rata Sum will actually force us to waypoint as well, which I'm going to show you guys as a little bonus. These city episodes are way too short. Way too short. 15 minutes for a Wooden Potatoes video? I don't think so. So we're going to keep going. I'll show you guys just a little bit of something extra that just really blows my mind about this place. Because all these interiors, all the stuff that we can walk about on the surface, it's really... You know, it's real. There's no loading screens. There's no fakery. It's not necessarily unloaded stuff elsewhere. It's all here a real explorable environment. And people just don't get to appreciate it. Like that window, these windows that are on the left, I could actually mount and fly out of those windows now and fly away, you know, towards the SNAF Memorial Lab or whatever. There's just not any content that asks you to do that. I genuinely think a Griffin race that had you weaving in and out of the windows and flying around in the sky outside Rata Sum could be really good. But I don't know when the devs would get time or be able to justify adding a race like that. But that would be amazing. It'd be so good. Anyway, so here, yeah, I'm going to fly away because there is an extra feature. At launch, you could obviously jump off. And it was really hard to get far away from the base because you would be sliding and you'd hit weird obstacles and stuff. But if you managed to get right away and say you wanted to explore in the water right beneath the city, well, the police come and get you. I don't know what the idea is. Maybe tractor beams lining the outside of the city or something pull you in. But you get teleported remotely into a prison area, which you can walk into. It's underneath the city. There's a few reasons to come here. There's a Norn that's in one of the cells. Lots of fun stuff to see here. But even players can get stuck. And again, you're kind of forced to waypoint out on this. Even if you do the log out, log back in trick, you know, you see where your mini is and you try to teleport to its location with a log out, log in. That was an old trick. Used to happen a lot of the time. By the way, I never mentioned Kessex, the whole hidden inquest lab that I used to mess about at Garenhof trying to sneak in. Using log out, log in trick. That won't even work. So, you know, at launch, you might find someone begging, please help me out. And that's how they did it, by escaping the city. So Rata Sum, really great. As an Asura player, what can I say? It's a great place. Not quite as good as Divinity's Reach for me. That's the true king. But still a brilliant place. Thanks, guys, for watching. Feel free to share your memories down below. I'll see you in the next one very soon.